Good afternoon. Welcome. Today I'm going to cover on billing and recording reimbursable mileage. And I'm going to start with setting up mileage and having a vehicle set up and mileage rate set up. As you can see, I can hit the new button, or I can go into an existing rate and set up a mileage rate. And I'm going to edit that. So when I want to choose mileage, I can give it an effective date and the current rate. That doesn't necessarily have to be a government rate, but you can certainly use the published government IRS rate. And now I've got a 2005 rate and a 2016 rate, and I'm going to close that. Then I'm going to go back into list and mileage and set up a vehicle. As you can see, I have a few vehicles set up here. I've got a Chevy Cruiser. I'm going to edit, actually put a picture of my car in there and activate the vehicle. Maybe attach some documentation to the vehicle. But what I'm going to do right here is I'm actually going to enter some mileage because I took the Chevy to a job site. So when I go to enter that mileage, it's kind of saying it's my mileage or the employee's mileage or the vehicle mileage. You may want to pay the employee back. My trip date and my job. And I have a job that's been set up. I click on that. I could actually allocate it between a number of jobs. I'm going to hit OK. I'm going to type in some notes to and from. I'm going to choose my rate. I'll take the new rate for this year. And back and forth, it took me about 100 miles. And now I'm going to record it. That's my mileage expense. And close that. I think it's worth noting on jobs, I'm going to go to that actual job in that job list, this particular job here. And when you do set up a job, you can say new or give job budgets. But what I've done here as a predecessor is I've ticked off track reimbursable expenses, and I've assigned my job number to a linked account or a linked customer. These are all the customers I may have on file, or I can choose a particular customer to link this job to. So when you record the mileage, it's going to know that it belongs to a particular job, and that job belongs to a customer, and that mileage can be tracked and necessarily reimbursed. So I'm going to hit OK and then close out. So I'm actually going to jump a step, and I'm going to try to prepare an invoice. I'm going to actually use a time and material invoice, but a sales invoice also has similar functionality. I'm going to go into my client or my customer. I noticed that it was Rockaway, and I'm going to say OK. And I'm going to bill out time or elements that I've worked on this particular customer. And I could sort that, by the way. I can say just pick one job or selected jobs, but I just said all jobs in this case. And I'm going to bill some time, or I may just want to bill some of the time and hold the rest of the time. I may choose to tax or not tax an element. I can consolidate my activities. I can sort this by job if I'm just very interested in just billing out a particular job. So it actually sorts that out a little bit more cleanly. I'm actually not going to bill that. So we're just going to bill this one job number for a couple of pieces of time. And I'm going to say to use my activity notes instead of the name on my invoice. And that's actually going to prepare an invoice for me. The invoice that it prepares, in this instance, I'm using a various set of defaults, and you can see those in the customer card. So it's picking up a time and billing format, and I could actually choose a particular form or a custom form that it's going to pick up, or a plain paper form. It'll pick up any of the defaults from the card. It's going to assign the next sequential invoice number. This is an invoice, not a progress billing or a quote. The customer PO has a field, and if I did offer them terms, it's 210 net 30, or I can change those terms. So as you can see, we have a couple of line items. but I'd like to go find if I have any reimbursable expenses at this point. And I'm going to go to Actions, and it says Add Reimbursable Mileage for any charges that Rockaway may have had. And if I kind of look through the list here, I'm going to look for my mileage on this job invoice. And it's going to be this. I'm going to tick off that. And let's say I have 2 mileage items here. And I want to maybe mark them up. And I'll mark them up at 10%. And now it cost me, but I marked them up again. And if I just hit reimburse, they're going to actually come out on the invoice. And I can check for taxability and choose the tax rate for my invoice. Use that tax code, and now I have a balance due. And I can populate the rest of my invoice. I can add notes that came through or make adjustments. I can spell check, and I can attach any documentation if I was billing out additional receipts. So at this point, I'm just going to record that invoice, and that concludes adding mileage to my time and material invoice. Thank you for listening.